My name is Avgi Saketopoulou. I'm a psychoanalyst. I live in New York. I came here after having been born in Greece, and I trained at the NYU Postdoctoral Program, which has several different tracks, but the particular concentration of my training is relational. Especially here in New York, the pace of life is very, very quick. Social bonds are not very developed. There isn't much collectivity in life. So people tend to come with concrete symptoms like phobias or anxieties or kind of like more circumscribed symptoms. But there's also more and more people are coming in with more diffuse symptoms, with a general sense of malaise or unhappiness or general complaints like difficulty with relationships. A lot of people come not knowing how lonely they are and how these conditions of kind of like the neoliberal regimes that guide our lives these days impact people's lives tremendously, but not in ways that are necessarily identifiable or visible to the people who suffer. So people come with all kinds of issues, but these tend to be, in addition to the familial problems and the background histories that people suffer from, they inflect differently suffering. One of the things that I think is beginning to change in psychoanalysis, especially in areas like New York, which is where I practice, is that more and more queer people are beginning to feel comfortable coming to psychoanalysts, even though we have not yet done as well with creating spaces for people of color to feel that they can seek treatment in ways that are not pathologizing and that are not that do not take into account their complex histories and current conditions. I think that one of the problems that psychoanalysis still has is that it has not done well and is trying to do better, but we still have a lot of work to do in thinking about experiences of otherness and othering. I am one of those psychoanalysts who actually thinks that Freud is very, very useful and continues to be useful, as long as we refract him through what we understand today about human life and human history, and the larger forces that, forces of power, collective power, forces of hegemony that structure, not just the social, but also the way in which the social becomes structuralized into the psyche. So there are ways, for example, to read the 3 essays in very conservative ways. And this has been done. Ego psychology certainly read the 3 essays in very conservative ways. But then there's, we have all kinds of developments today and theories that came after him, theories from within psychoanalysis. For example, we pay attention today to intergenerational transmission of trauma in ways that we never have before, so that you might be sitting with a patient who is a 3rd-generation Holocaust survivor and be thinking about what has been carried down in ways that we just didn't have the conceptual tools to do some time before. And then we also have a lot of contributions that come to us from outside psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis is just not in and of itself enough. I think that sometimes we can get a little bit self-sufficient, or at times even arrogant, about imagining that we have all of the tools with which to understand the human psyche. And it's been actually in Freud's tradition to think with forms and ideas outside of psychoanalysis and psychiatry at his time, or neurology, to be able to take thought further. So we have post-colonial theory today, we have queer theory, we have trans studies, all of which have made tremendous contributions, not just in understanding those particular subjects, but in also helping us to stretch our understanding about subjects that that might some time ago been seen as just canonical, as belonging to the center. Now we have more tools to work with everybody. It is part of our training and part of our job and part of our sensibility to create spaces that actually that occupy a different dimension than linear time does outside of the consulting room. There is a paradox between psychoanalysis not following the zeitgeist in the sense of not getting caught up in this overly quick, pressing for results culture where every single moment has to be a productive moment, where every single moment has to be a moment that harkens to something else, that gestures to how can this be turned into money or efficiency or productivity of some sorts, or an improvement, that every moment becomes hyper-saturated with this pressure such that there's no time, there's no reflectivity, there's no such that waiting or being patient are coming to be seen culturally as counterproductive modes of being, as laziness. They're being marked as problems. And in that sense, psychoanalysis is very resistant. Psychoanalysis encourages, when you sit with an analyst, part of what you discover is that time in silence is not wasted time. It's actually the time between words that can be as important or sometimes even more important. That dreams actually are not these haphazard productions of debris that's getting like flushed out during sleep, but that they actually mean something. And in that sense, psychoanalysis is not just not following the zeitgeist, but is offering a respite from this kind of hyper-accelerated, hyper-pixelated experience of the world.